What's going on, guys? In this edition of the Zulu 24 Spotlight, I've got Ian from Grimnir Tactical. Guys, what's going on in this edition of the Zulu 24 Spotlight? We have Ian and Max from Grimnir Tactical. Guys, why don't you say hello?
Guys, what's going on, everybody? I'm Max.
And I'm Ian.
All right, guys. So is this you guys' first time coming to the Northeast?
This isn't going to be our first time really in the Northeast. I guess the farthest north and the farthest east that we've gone so far. But we've produced events in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and then also a little bit more down south in West Virginia.
So I got to ask you, Grimnir is such a unique name. Where did that come from? I mean, it sounds Norse to me. It sounds like Viking stuff.
Yeah, so before we got into Airsoft, we were pretty big into paintball, and we played it at Skirmish, actually. We played in their scenario games every year, and it's a long running, you have the Germans and the Allies fighting. Long story short, we got involved with like the Ally commanders, and we had our team, and we came up with this name. It was the Operations Direct Action and Intelligence Network, because we were the guys who we got in ghillie suits, we crawled behind enemy lines, we watched what was going on. So the acronym was Odin. Grimnir is Norse. It's just another name for Odin. That's all it is. And it just shows you that I'm really not that creative when I name stuff. I just recycle stuff.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Now, one of the things that I researched you guys, when you guys had approached me, I researched you guys, and you guys have a very interesting story arc for your event series. It's very different from any other type of producers out there. It's not just like special forces versus special forces. You know what I mean? Like, you guys actually put a lot of thought and time into the backstory. Why don't you give the viewers a little bit of taste of that, of where these ops are coming from and where they're going?
Yeah. So from a storyline perspective, right, and we saw the same thing. We saw everything was tan, green, NATO, Russia, NATO, Middle East, whatever it was. And we thought we could go further. We grew up nerds. Like, we were playing Halo. Like, we loved all that stuff, watching Aliens, all everything. And we thought, it originally started as a book idea that I had like 10 or 15 years ago. And when we were sitting here trying to figure out our event series, I kind of pulled up some of my old stuff and I was like, oh, this could be really cool. So we really wanted to create a series that lets us kind of like expand out, right? Because when you do just that special forces stuff, you're kind of bound by technology, right? The context that you're operating in. But because we've taken this, we've moved it in the future, like, we can do whatever we want, right? Like whatever technology, like drones, hacking. I mean, if you want space zombies, I'm sure we can do that. Like, that's what I always go to. Like, we can do whatever we want, and it just lets us kind of go wild, and there's all sorts of stuff we can do, and we've talked about. So we wanted to create this really expansive universe. I'm knee deep in writing, I'm late on it actually, but I'm knee deep in writing the first archives, which expands that lore even further. But we wanted to give the players something tangible and that can continue, and they can feel like they're contributing to, and they see the one constant thread go all the way through all the events. So, I mean, we wanted to create that world for them, and we wanted to create a gray world, I didn't want good guys and bad guys. And it's really cool because when you listen to and watch our players, they're pointing the finger at each other, which is exactly what we wanted to do. IGC thinks a CFI are a bunch of idiots, and, CFI thinks, IGC are like, this fascist dictatorship, which, I didn't write either of them that way. They're both wrong in their own respect, but they also have compelling reasons to join them. And there's all sorts of good stuff going on. We're getting criminal factions in there. It's just, we wanted to build this really cool thing, this really great world, and and just let players be on that journey.
Yeah, man, super cool. Actually, when you guys did like a test run at the field for, I forget what it was called, but
Bounty Hunters.
That's right. So the one thing that set you guys apart from any other producer I've ever seen is like your technology and your field prop and the things that you bring to the game. So, I mean, you guys have so much unique stuff. Why don't you elaborate a little bit? I mean, I know some of this might be proprietary or whatever, but I think the players need to know that you guys are putting in the effort to think outside the box for you guys' events, man. I was really impressed by it.
Yeah. So kind of piggybacking off of what Max said, having the story set in the future allows us to push the envelope to a degree that has never really been done before. We really got into Airsoft and the production side of the industry because we kept hearing the same things over and over again of like, yep, that's the 5th time I went to that event, and it was exactly the same the last 4 times. So we have developed technology, and we're very, very, blessed to have really, really talented people between ownership and staff members that are incredibly smart and obviously good with their hands and can build things. So some of the technology we have, I mean, the first thing that really kind of shook people, Wes Green, who's another owner of the company, he developed a hacking terminal that if you got it right, it would punch out some data for you to collect to turn into maybe your squad leader or platoon leader. But if you got it wrong and the players didn't know this, a tag-in or a grenade, EG-67, the pin was pulled and dropped at their feet from a compartment underneath the terminal. So the first time anybody experienced that, they were sitting in this downed wooden Blackhawk at skirmish, and I was fortunate enough to be about 10 meters away from them, and I just heard these guys screaming, and they didn't make it. But so things like that, we have a proprietary chassis that has been developed by another owner of the company named Logan that is attached to a DJI drone, and that will shoot tag-ins from above. So players can unlock that by hacking terminals or by completing missions, almost like a perk. Our vehicle revive system is a completely self-designed game by Wes Green. It essentially, you have to take this box and play this game essentially on the hood of a vehicle while it's under fire to revive the vehicle and get it back to a functioning state. We have new, and this is going to be debuting at Zulu 24 for Anthropos. We have a technology that we're working with a company called Dracontis. It's called Dragon Force. It is a mission planning and GPS locator and tracker. So squad leaders will have access to using this. You can collaborate and whiteboard on it in real time so that players can have insight as to maybe where something is being dropped, where an objective is. You can draw perimeters of, hey, we need to secure this area. And you can see everybody that's on your team the entire time, and it refreshes in a 1-second refresh rate. So the really exciting thing that we just got in the mail 2 days ago, we actually have Starlink, which is the satellite Wi-Fi from SpaceX. So we're going to start implementing that into our games or utilizing that as a tool to allow our technology to be functioning at its highest degree while being in these super remote locations, whether it be up in the middle of nowhere, New York or West Virginia, or God knows where we're going to go next. So lots of technology that we want players to come check it out because we guarantee you've never experienced anything like it.
And I just want to add, like, I think that, Ian talked about the near term stuff, and, he explained all that super well. And I think that the one thing I want to make sure is I like to try and pro people is thinking about the possibilities, right? So Starlink, people are like, okay, cool, Wi-Fi. But imagine when we get our second unit in and allowing Starlink to be placed at either fob. And using the hacking game that Wes has already, built and players can access from their phone, by the way. And our goal is to eventually have it so that, you can have cyber warfare, essentially. You can have a team of hackers on each faction that can literally shut down systems or block stuff or, turn the lights off on the other team's fob or open gates or whatever it is. That's all possible with Starlink. The other thing that we have on our roadmap, these are really far out. I'm giving you guys pie in the sky stuff here, but I like to get people excited because I think this is the kind of stuff that's going to set us apart. And I think it's kind of the stuff that people should be excited for. And frankly, having folks come to the games gets us the support we need to build towards these. The thing I'm most excited for is we have this project that we're poking at that we call integrated vehicles. So taking that same principle where you utilize Bluetooth or Raspberry Pi systems, you start, splicing into the vehicle system. So the fuel line, the turrets, the batteries on the guns. And we're exploring ways so that vehicles can be remotely shut down. They can get EMP'd. We're trying to figure out a way to put a vehicle health. We don't have the solution, but we're trying to figure out ways where you can put vehicle health in. So as the vehicle takes shot, it's no longer maybe the tag in or that shock round broke or didn't break. I didn't hear it. As the vehicle takes impacts, its health degrades and systems begin to shut down. And we can do that. That's all possible to do with all this technology. So we're hoping in the next few years, we have our first integrated vehicles on the field. And that unlocks new gameplay loops too, right? So now you have, something for the guy who's sitting in the passenger seat. You have, he can be sitting in there operating a remote turret. The guy who's in the back, sitting down, he can be an engineer and he can start rerouting power from, the turret to the engines to get out of there and vice versa. Just opens up so many new possibilities and experiences for players, because our goal is I don't want somebody sitting in the car doing nothing. I want everyone engaged at all times. That's just some of the exciting stuff that the technology Ian just so beautifully went over can eventually get us to. We're still working on, these are all like still concepts things, but we've been talking about them for probably a year now. And, with the implementation of these systems, it's getting closer and more real.
Yeah, it's great to hear all this. It's great from my perspective to hear producers putting in that forethought. Some of that stuff is down the road, but at least you're thinking about it now, right? And you're putting in the time now. There's been a trend in airsoft where if a formula works, then that's it. The formula works and they don't change it. And it goes, just like Ian was saying, you go to the same event 4 or 5 times and it's the same every time. So I'm glad you guys are putting in the work to make airsoft a little bit better each day at a time, right? Speaking of putting in the work, right? Let's talk about your uniform requirements for Anthropos. All right, they're a little different than most airsoft games, so I feel like we should touch on it, just so that there's no confusion.
So for uniform restrictions for our events, it's not the traditional green versus tan. We're very firm believers in that players should be thinking while they're playing. And it's not just as easy as recognizing, a green base camo versus a tan base camo. So we have given some really cool opportunities to both factions. So the IGC, which is typically that military powerhouse faction, these players must be wearing matching combat tops and combat bottoms. So whether that be a combat shirt or a BDU style blouse, that is acceptable, but it has to be in a matching pattern. And that's the key here. So IGC has to be in a patterned top and bottoms that are matching. So no solid colors, no all Ranger greens, no all grays, because that's what IGC staff is wearing, so they can be recognized and help people on the field and also lead. The only couple of exceptions are things like extremely hot weather, right? So IGC, the only non-pattern that they can wear is all black. And the reason why we allowed that is because multicam black is a pattern, it is accepted, and black and multicam black look pretty damn near close to one another, especially at a distance. So multicam black and all black clothing for IGC is allowed. But during really hot weather, we will allow t-shirts to be worn for IGC, but the t-shirts have to be black t-shirts. So essentially nobody on the CFI or any of the opposing factions to the IGC will be wearing anything that is black, except for gear. Gear color doesn't matter. Gear can be whatever pattern, color, whatever. So approved patterns for the IGC, once again, combat tops and bottoms, no shorts, nothing like that. You have to be wearing full length pants. So things like AOR 1, AOR 2, Flecktarn, all the multicam variants, black, multicam black. You can wear desert variants, Marpat, other digital variations. But if there is a team that wants to roll IGC and wear a camo pattern that isn't listed in our rule set, they can reach out to us and we can talk about it. The reason we have to talk about those other ones is because there are a lot of, let's just say the Filipino woodland looks very similar to the M81 woodland, which is not allowed on IGC. So we just kind of have to talk, and in our Discord or on our Instagram, we're very, very active. We answer questions every single chance we get. And we have a great community that'll help answer those questions as well. Band patterns, and this is for pretty much both sides. So Woodland can only be worn by CFI, and it can only be worn for bottoms. So they can only wear combat pants and M81 for the CFI. No tiger stripe for any factions as of right now. No grays for any factions because that's what the IGC officers are wearing. And then no solid colors for IGC, like no tan or OD, anything like that. The only exception to those solid patterns are for rain gear for the IGC. Rain gear should be tan or black for the IGC. CFI and criminal factions, just for Anthropos, it's only CFI, it's no criminal. They're supposed to look cobbled, thrown together, militia. So jeans and a flannel is perfect for CFI. Jeans and a green t-shirt is perfect. M81 pants and any color t-shirt that's not black or gray. That's absolutely perfect for the CFI. No combat tops or bottoms, or I'm sorry, combat tops or BDUs for the CFI. Pretty much just look like a civilian that got thrown into a war. That's kind of the plan of the CFI. It's what you're supposed to look like. Gear color, once again, doesn't matter. You can wear helmets. There's no weapon restrictions or anything like that. You can use whatever. So that's pretty much the uniform restrictions in a nutshell. And the point is not to be green versus tan, but it's supposed to be, you look like you got your shit together on the IGC, and you look like you just got thrown to the wolves for the CFI. And that's what we're hoping people pick up on.
Right on. Actually, after you explained it, it makes a lot of sense. So I would encourage anybody watching this to go read your rules, right? Obviously, they should be anyway. Yeah. All right. Yeah. The chuckle of anybody who's ever written an op. Rules, right?
We have pictures. We've tried to put pictures in, so if people don't want to read, you can look at pretty pictures too.
Well, I make videos once a month, man. I get better retention that way. All right. So the last thing, all right. So guys, that's gonna about wrap it up for us. But in quick blurb, what should players expect from Op Anthropos on April 23rd and 24th? Go.
Yep. So Anthropos is like we talked about the storyline earlier. Anthropos is the first expansion off that, right? So less like Luke Skywalker, like that crew, more Rogue One, right? You're not in that thing. You're just, it's a straight up fight. So what you can expect a lot of intense fighting, right? That's our goal, is to have people in constant conflict when you're on the field. But it's going to be a relaxed event. You can leave the field when you want. You can sleep. You know, we're going to stop at night. You're going to be able to, get some good shut eye. You can stay in a hotel. But you get to go, and it's going to be very much player driven, right? So the staff will be there to guide you, but where you go, how you do the objectives, it's on you guys as players to organize and make sure we're winning the field at a time. There's going to be periodic objectives dropped. We don't normally do point-based games, but this conflicts will be point-based. So there will be a very clear-cut winner and loser at the end of this. And the winner from each of the conflicts, that faction gets bonuses in the new episode. So for example, the bonus at the end of this one is additional medic shots. So whoever wins, their medics start with more supplies than the other team, and the other team takes actually a small hit. So this is a way for players who don't want to do the super LARPy heavy narrative, like 40 hours straight stuff. It's a way for them to feel like they're contributing to a larger war effort without going to those games.
Right on. Sorry, I got a poltergeist or something. Ian, you got anything to add?
No, I mean, it's very much, these conflicts directly impact the episodes. So the next episode is going to be in June. That's at Panthera. It's called Galahad. It's going to be a great operation. But that's 40 hour. And, the reason for conflicts coming into play for us is to, one, make people feel more confident and comfortable that they can pull off something like a 40 hour, have people come to get to know us. We love talking to people and making people feel comfortable and having that positive community so people can be a part of something without, being looked down upon, whether it's your first time or your 15th or 20th event. Like, we treat everybody the same. This is it's a really cool event, and we have some unique technology that's actually going to be on the field at Zulu, which is how people will be able to control sectors as well as know that the sectors are being controlled, and a direct link to a respawn point that is digitalized. So we have a lot of cool stuff that's definitely going to be debuting at this event. So Highly urge people to come out, check it out. It's refreshing. It's something that hasn't been done before. There's a lot of shit that hasn't been done before. So we're excited to get all these people out here and experience this for the first time with us.
Right on. Okay, that's about all I have for you guys today. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. That's Ian and Max from Grimnir Tactical.
Remember, Anthropos, April 23rd and 24th. Guys, all this weekend we will be handing out these discount codes for Anthropos down at Zulu 24. So come on by. When you register, you get a free 15% off if you register for Anthropos. Guys, that's about it. Good night. God bless. I'm out.